Na srácok, akkor üdv újra a Technobabylon világában. Végigjátszásunk második epizódjánál tartunk. És azon gondolkodom, hogy innen hogy volt tovább, mert nem volt időm előre játszani. Ugye nálunk van a memória modul, amit korábban megszereztünk, és ha jól emlékszem, ezt le kellett szállítanunk, de előtte körbenézek a Cell épületében, de be tudok menni. Igen, és mint látjátok, itt van a cseléd, akinek előző epizódban szerintem nem jól ejtettem ki a nevét, és Chantel, nem Chanté. A másik pedig, hogy ő visszatérő karakter lesz, még fogunk vele találkozni, ennyit elárulok. Ezt nem tudom, hogy itt.
I guess I should have turned these over to the evidence locker.
Jól emlékeztem. Mindent visszaszerzünk most, ami itt volt, de ezek nem sokáig lesznek nálunk elviekben. Mi van, hogyha megpróbálok kisétálni? Egyelőre még kimehetek. Szóval irány az erkély, ahol legutóbb voltunk. És itt most szépen ledobjuk ezt a modult. Ugye? Yeah. Nincs idegen hívás vagy ilyesmi, hogy kell hívni a hapsit vagy bármi, hanem csak szilánkok.
What the hell is this?
It is to show you my opinion of how swiftly you have carried out your task, Dr. Regis. You still have another 3 chances to change my mind.
I have the memory module from Vanderwall's place.
Good. Place it on the bench in your garden.
Mint látjátok, akármit csinálunk, bármelyik választást nyomjuk be, egy embriónak a tárolóját ez a mocsok így is eltöri. Úgyhogy teljesen mindegy, mit művelünk. Helyezzük el a padon ezt a modult és húzzunk innen.
Okay, module's in the garden.
Excellent. I'm sending you an address. It's a dump of a studio apartment out in the barrel. The occupant is on vacation. I want you to destroy it.
Excuse me?
Procure an explosive device, plant it within his apartment.
Where am I supposed to find a bomb?
You work for Cell, Dr. Regis. If anyone had access to such a device, I've no doubt it would be yourselves, legitimate or otherwise.
Why do you want this apartment destroyed?
My reasons are not your concern, Dr. Regis. What is your concern, however, is the matter of your embryo's safety.
How would I even get something like that out?
I hear Central isn't quite itself at the moment. Strike now, while the iron is hot.
I guess I don't have a choice.
I knew you'd make the right decision, Dr. Regis. Return to your garden after the task is complete. I shall contact you then.
Nem feltétlenül cselekszünk helyesen, de nincs más választásunk. És nézzük meg igazából, hogy mi is van a centrállal. Aha, technikai gondok vannak. Oké,
I
akkor...
couldn't confess even if I wanted to.
Így van, igazad van. Úgyhogy akkor menjünk is a dolgunkra. Várjatok, csak ez hülyesség még egyelőre. Meg akartam nézni ezt a szekrényt, hát ha van benne valami. Úgyhogy vissza akkor az erkélyre. Úgy emlékszem, hogy ott volt egy hasznos holmi azért.
It's empty.
Nem. Akkor rosszul emlékeztem. Akkor menjünk vissza a Cellhez, ugyanis, mint hallottátok, bombát kell szereznünk. Aztán pedig a lakáshoz menni. Na most rátok bízom, hogy mire gondoltok, hogy mi ez a lakás valójában. Nem lövöm le a poént, vagy hogy mi fog történni. Igazából már volt erre egy előzmény, hogy mi is ez valójában. Szóval irány akkor a Cell. Gyerünk. és vissza a műtős terembe. Ugye már minden eszközt összeszedtem, ami kell ez a művelethez, amit most fogtok látni. Ha nem ismernétek meg, mert így ebből a pixeles halomból nem igazán észrevehető, hogy ki ő. Ez a srác, a vonaton talált srác, aki merényletet próbált elkövetni, úgyhogy gyakorlatilag egyetlen egy túsz sem volt a vonaton. Röviden fogalmazva. Viszont nekünk van egy késünk, és a maradványokból szerzünk egy bombát. A vizsgálat nagy részét a fején végezték, ahol a lövés érte. Vágást ejtesz a combja mentén, és kihúzod a combcsontját. Na most, remélem emlékeztek arra, hogy mi van a csontjaiban. Kalcium meg egyéb helyett, és ezzel már mehetünk is az utunkra, úgy emlékszem. Irány a lakás. Arra nem emlékszem, hogy aktiváltam a bombát. Valahogy meg kellett törni, vagy megsérteni a csontot.
I can't figure that out. I can't.
Hát tudom már. Nálam van a főzőgél. Ugye legutóbb testhőmérsékletre állítottam be. Most viszont én szerintem egy olyan 90 fokra megpróbálom, hogy úgy mit reagál a csont, ami nálunk van. Semmilyen hatás. Akkor még egy kicsit feljebb. Biztos vagyok benne, hogy valahogy instabilá lehet tenni ezt a holmit. És tegyük oda bele gyorsan, aztán takarodjunk. Na most már ismerős a helyszín?
Got it.
Kis emlékeztető arról, hogy mi történt.
It'd be an understatement to say it's been a bad day.
No kidding. I sure wouldn't want to be you.
Yeah, I've got a few problems, but I'm not going to let them threaten what I care about any longer.
You say that, but I think you're yellow.
Hey, I've got a plan.
If you're so decisive, why haven't you unfrozen any of those embryos?
It's been 20 years, Regis.
You know who it is, Dr. Regis. There's only one person it could be, isn't there?
You think it's Baxter?
Well, you certainly do.
Good evening, Dr. Regis.
Where are they, you son of a bitch?
I saw your handiwork and was most impressed.
So you'll give them back?
I'm sending you an address. You'll find your reward there.
Wait. Baxter.
És így is van. A nyomkövető megmutatja a hívás helyét. Az időközben szabadlábra helyezett Dr. Adam Baxter irodáját. Na most erről nem mondok még mindig semmit, hogy mi a valóság.
How? How is this possible? Traveler, begin recording. Lau, if you're listening to this, well, it means they've caught me. It wouldn't be right if I couldn't explain things to you, though. I've been blackmailed, with the lives of my kids. I traced the calls the blackmailer made. There's only one man who would have done this. And yet, thanks to the neural governor, he's also the only one who never could have. I've got to see that justice is done. Good luck, Max.
Menjünk is akkor utunkra. Mint látjátok, elég durván megzsarolták Regis-t. Vagy Charlie, ha már úgy neveztem el. Azt hiszem most már leléphetünk.
Hey, Charlie!
That's Dr. Regis, Corpseman.
Oh, sorry, Dr. Regis. Sir, I need your help, Doctor. Rescue brought someone in, but I'm not qualified to take the statement.
I'm very busy, Corpseman. Can't you find Santiago or Lau?
No, sir. They're still in the AR lab, trying to fight off the heuristic attack. It'll only take a second, sir.
Fine.
Oh, thank you, sir. I've been panicking all evening about it. She's in the waiting room at the end here.
Akkor menjünk is szépen a fickó után. Kicsit furcsa, hogy az irányítás nem úgy működik, hogy oda kattintok valahová, és ha nyomva tartom, akkor megy is folyamatosan.
Oh, hey, some service. These flexes are broken. I can't input anything.
That's because they're not flex screens. They're sheets of paper.
Paper? What is this, the Dark Ages?
I've been sent to give you the standard debrief after being involved in something like this. It's our role to do all we can to keep you safe.
Yeah, great job with that so far.
Bocsi ez miatt, úgy néz ki duplán kattintott az egerem.
Can I take your name and SOC number?
Sesame Ladha as in 134244.
That's a nice name. Indian? Sri Lankan?
Dunno, raised by the city. Why do you care?
My wife was Sri Lankan. She always... Oh, you don't care, do you?
That obvious?
Any aliases? Net, trance, flow, those sorts of things?
Mandala.
What's your employment status?
What do you think? Blue recycled overalls?
So, not currently employed.
Duh.
Perhaps they didn't think you had the right attitude for it. Your health status?
Dunno.
How do you not know that?
Been busy. Only come out to eat.
You're a thrall. Shall I put net addict then?
Put what you want. I don't care.
Where do you live?
The trance.
And where is your physical address?
Well, it was 13E8682 Zeus Street.
Excuse me?
13E8682 Zeus Street?
Why are you here at Cell?
They didn't tell you? Someone cut my network and locked my apartment. I just about managed to crack the door when the whole damn place exploded.
Exploded?
Sure, I didn't like the place, but I didn't do it. Hey, is there a net connection here? I haven't been able to hook up for hours.
Excuse me.
So, can I go?
Corpseman, the girl in there's life may be at risk. Do not let her leave without authorization from myself or Dr. Lau.
Can do, Dr. Regis.
Empty apartment, my ass. That girl was locked in there. That asshole knew what would happen when He wanted her killed. I know what he has against me, but why her as well?
Why is this taking so long? Can I get back in the trance yet?
Ennek egy érdekes sztoria van, hogy miért akarták őt is kinyírni, de nem mondom el. Oké. Először is segítséget kell hívnunk, mert nincs nálunk semmilyen eszköz.
Hi there. How can I help?
Can I speak to you?
Sure. Just a second.
So, Agent,
Just Corpseman, actually. Quince. What's your name?
Sesame, Ladha.
Nice to meet you, Miss Sesame. Pardon my asking, but you were raised by the city, weren't you?
You read that on my file?
Nah, I was too.
No way.
Yeah, we're practically family.
I've been in here for hours. The guy in the bed isn't much company. What is there to do?
There's the terminal. You could check the news.
Ugh, I can't stand this much of the real world. It's so slow.
I'm sorry. People don't usually spend so long in here. It's just taking a bit longer than usual.
I'm starving. It's been days since the last time I ate.
And was that because you were deep in the trance?
That's not the point. I couldn't get the food machine in here to work.
Oh yeah, they take tokens. Here, have a few. You'll be able to get yourself something.
Is it any good?
What kind of machine do you have at home?
The kind that came in Skanto apartments.
Ooh, ouch. Yeah, kind of about that.
Who was that guy who came in?
Oh, Charlie? He's one of the most experienced agents in Cell. A lot of people have trouble getting on with him, but he's just businesslike.
It sounded like he was panicking about something.
I've never thought of him as someone who gets worried. Grumpy a whole lot of the time, sure.
I need to get back in the trance. How can I make a connection?
Sorry, we don't allow trans connections from inside Cell.
What? That's inhuman! I have rights, you know!
Not to an internet connection, you don't.
Come on, I could just hook something up through that terminal.
I'm sorry, but it's for security. Oh, this isn't a cell. The cells are only 2 cubic meters.
That's not the point! I didn't break the law!
It's for your own safety. Charlie's asked to make sure you stay here until he gets back.
I don't feel very safe.
Mint látjátok, sajnos néha úgy viselkedik az egerem, hogy duplán kattint, úgyhogy ezért elnézést kérek. Na de, azt mondja, hogy...
So, how'd you know I was raised by the city?
It was a guess, but your name was a clue. You ever notice how they always assign kids names from nature? Quince, Sesame. We even had a pomegranate in my center.
Huh. I suppose that's true. Never met any with any cool names, though. No tigers or anything.
Yeah, I don't think they do the extinct ones, though.
So, how'd you end up working for Cell?
I'm not sure, really. Kinda drifted in. Most of the kids from my center ended up here. Monroe Center, down by the coast, that is. Where'd you grow up?
Taylor, near the lake. Most of us just ended up on Skanto, unemployed.
I'm sorry to hear that. Personally, I think us city kids should stick together. There are so many of us, we'd be a force to be reckoned with.
So, what's your first name, Mr. Corpseman Quince?
It's Amadi, an Angolan name. Apparently that's where my family came from, but I've been here as long as I can remember. The first names are always from kids' cultural backgrounds. What about Latha? Is that, Indian?
Dunno. Probably. I came with a refugee shipment from the war. You ever feel like exploring your roots?
Not really. I grew up here. Newton is my home.
Yeah, there isn't really much for me in the old country either. Except thousands of kilometers of radioactive hot zone. My apartment exploded.
Oh, ouch. Was it a nice place?
Well, no, but that isn't the point.
Accidents like that happen sometimes. At least Cell were able to get you out.
I'm not sure it was an accident. My connection was cut and my doors were locked before it happened.
Who'd want to hurt you, though?
That's just it. I don't know who. I mean, I've pissed people off in net matches sometimes, but this? Thanks for that.
Anytime. Just call if you need anything.
Na, oké. Megtudtuk a lényeget, illetve szereztünk egy-két holmit, ami segíthet, valamint hoztunk otthonról is magunkkal holmit, ami segíthet. Jól jegyezzétek meg ezt a srácot itt bal oldalt, ugyanis ő jelen állapotában nem nagyon tud nekünk segíteni. Viszont nem sokára hasznunkra lesz. Azt hiszem azzal kell kezdeni, hogy kaját kérek. A villa az jó, hogy van. Illetve ez is, de kell a... nem az asztal. Igen, az asztallal ezt fogjuk majd csinálni.
Hey.
What?
Would you mind not doing that?
Doing what? I wasn't doing anything.
I can see you, you know. The camera's there for your own safety.
Fine. I'd better find a way to fix that.
Igen, ezen tudunk segíteni, de előbb fel kell szedni a kék poharat. És beletömni a maradék netgélt, ami nekünk marad. Valamint feltölteni vízzel. Így. Ezt összekombinálni egy kis kajával, idézőjelben. Valamint a maradékot pedig ide feldobni.
Hey, what did you do? I've lost the feed from the camera.
Oh jeez, Charlie's gonna kill me. Why did you do that?
I like my privacy.
Just don't do anything stupid, okay? Please?
Ígérem, nem csinálok hülyeséget, csak valami olyat, amivel könnyedén kijuthatok innen. Papírok is kellenek, valamint a takarója a srácnak. Egyébként innen be fogunk tudni lépni a transzba, vagyis a transzbe inkább jobban hangzik. Ugye, öngyújtónk az nincs. De van villánk, valamint ezt szét tudjuk szedni, csak hogy is? Igen.
I've given it a handle made of that plastic rubbery sheet.
Így van. A menet közben jutnak eszembe a dolgok, amiket csináltam még korábban. Így.
This kind of sums up my feelings about paperwork.
Aha. Aztán pedig bele a szemetesbe a maradékot. Mindjárt meglátjátok, hogy ez miért kell.
I guess that's sorta safer.
Mégpedig ugye van nálunk netgél, amit meleg környezetben meg lehet egy kicsit turbózni, hogy növekedjen. Ki tudja, mennyi időt telik el amúgy. 80 perc.
Easy. Nothing stands between me and my trance.
És már van újra netgélünk. Na de, ha ide jövök a sráchoz, ezt megmutatom még.
Hello? Guess he doesn't feel like talking.
Mint látjátok, nem nagyon lehet vele beszélni, viszont csatlakozzunk rá, ha jól emlékszem, a képernyőre kell. És elméletileg innentől már tudunk transzelni, és
I can feel the net on the other side.
nézzük meg, hogy mi van, ha megpróbálom. Valami történik, úgyhogy minden rendben van.
Alon wa salam.
Hi? I'm looking for the internet. Are you tapping the line as well?
Indeed I am, except we appear to be doing it from opposite directions.
You're a hacker.
That sounds so crude.
The sort who prefers to be called an adventurer?
I'm merely a concerned citizen. You can call me Jinsel.
I'm Mandela. This looks a lot like the kind of place I used to live.
It ought to. It was right above your own. In fact, we're trying to reconstruct the data from moments before the blast.
You know where I live?
We wouldn't be taking our responsibilities seriously if we didn't. We also know that it appears you've been targeted deliberately. These are shots we've been able to recover of the man who planted the bomb.
That's the guy I spoke to.
You know him?
Yeah, he's the cell agent who interviewed me. He left like an hour ago.
Az igen.
Why do you think it was me they were aiming for?
We hear things. We're also aware that prior to the blast, you were trapped.
Yeah, someone cut my connection and locked the door.
It would appear that you were being kept in place until the bomb was planted.
They probably could have just done it. I'd have been in trance for hours.
They had to be certain. But now that you've escaped, it appears that your life is still at risk.
Why would a cell agent be trying to kill me?
Often, Central's plots are unclear. This, however, is too direct and destructive for how Cell works.
You think it's personal, then?
In any case, he knows where you are and that you survived.
He's also got me trapped in one place again.
Then it's imperative that we help you to escape. Our agent may be able to help you with that. He is close at hand.
Wait, the guy in the cell with me? Blonde pseudo-leather jacket got the shakes?
That would be Guy, yes. He's acting as one of our relays within Cell.
You think he can help me get out?
We work within our own specialties, and his is Cell. If anyone were able to furnish a means for you to escape, it would be him.
Looks like a partially built sim.
Indeed, we're using a number of different sources to reconstruct a scene. Cameras, chromatographs, even the charge variances and wiring.
So why are you hooked up to Cell? No offense, but you'd have to be crazy to hack Central.
Fortunately, Central is indisposed. An initial attack appears to have crippled it.
So lots of opportunists are trying their luck while the security's weak.
Precisely. I was assembling this sim at the same time, when you joined it through an outbound port.
Who do you run with? Collective? A nun?
We're a circle of truth seekers and underground journalists. We go by Jahiliyyah.
Never heard of it. What's it mean?
Well, who controls the media today?
Chishiki? They're the biggest.
Exactly. Chishiki, whose name means knowledge. Except in this knowledge, there's nothing but trivia and lies. So where will people find the truth?
Within themselves?
Very philosophical, but not the case. Jahiliyyah means ignorance.
Oh, I get it. It's ironic.
Precisely.
I'd better disconnect and see if your guy can help me get out.
Bit Tafik, I've sent you the location to find us at. I'll be here should you require any further assistance in your escape.
Ó, Cyrus utca. Ide kell majd nem sokára mennünk, viszont egyelőre csak Guyhoz lépünk vissza. Amint kilépünk a transzből persze, ugye nincsen semmi, ami... ez a korábbi vírus, amire nincs szükségünk többet. Úgyhogy nem is bajlódunk vele, hanem Guyra szépen rácsatlakozunk ezzel a netgéllel.
Got it. I've made a connection with his neural hub.
Oké, most már lehet transzelni vele. Ugye? Így van.
Hi, Guy.
Oh, hey. Make yourself at home. Everyone else seems to in here.
I'm Mandela.
Guy, I'd shake your hand, but, well...
You alright?
Oh yeah, just peachy. Well, I would be if that imposter would go away.
I am not an imposter. I am the real.
Whose name?
How'd you wind up like this?
Well, you know that urban myth about the human resources Trojan?
The one that makes you move to China and join a factory collective?
Turns out, it's not a myth. If I'm correct, Cell have brought me in for treatment.
That's a good thing, right?
Well, duh. I don't want to work in a Han factory.
All glory to the greater Han Republic.
Shut up!
Jinsel says hi.
Oh, does she? Tell her she owes me double for this one. I lost touch with her hours ago.
She says you know a way out of here?
Well, sure. It's even easier when Central's down. Of course, I'm gonna need something from you.
Fine. What is it you want?
I need an edge to help me get rid of the chatterbox. For that, I need epinephrine. See if you can get them to bring any in.
And if they don't?
You look clever. You can probably find a way to make it.
Substance abuse is the curse of the working classes.
Why do you want this stuff?
The people here don't exactly know what they're doing. Cell's treatment might work, or I might walk out of here and straight to Greater Han. The epinephrine will give me enough of a boost to make sure it's me who wins the battle.
We must persevere in the great revolutionary struggle.
Plus, it's the kind of thing that most chemical synthesizers can make.
Wait, like a food machine?
Probably.
Oké, akkor...
Don't go anywhere.
Ha, you're funny.
Ezt szépen tegyük meg neki. Vigyük magunkkal ezt a programot egyszer, ugyanis... Ha jól emlékszem, most megint memóriakártyát kell kiszednünk egy gépből. Csak ez... másképp működik, mint a előző megoldás, ugyanis, mint látjátok, ez le van burkolva ez a gépezet, és fogalmam sincs, hogy...
The fork won't fit in the seams around the edges. If I could find something more precise, though.
Valami kifinomultabbat, mi? Viszont ezt lehet használni arra, hogy az asztal alját megbirizgáljuk, ha jól emlékszem, így van.
There, the table has been freed.
Innentől kezdve pedig a kamerához eljutunk. Nem teljesen vagyok biztos most sajnos a dolgomban, de próbáljuk meg. Még egy kicsit. Szálljunk, vagyis másszunk föl. Itt is egyébként ez megint egy olyan pont, ahol órákra elakadtam.
I'm going to need something more precise to get it open. Otherwise I might as well just smash the whole thing.
Kifinomultabb Mi lehet még ennél kifinomultabb?
I can't use it.
Nem. Esetleg meg tudjuk kérni az újdonsult barátaink egyikét arra, hogy adjon valami szerszámot? Ebben nem vagyok biztos, de egy próbát megér. Jinzil, gyerünk, segítsél!
I've got a question.
Yes.
You're occupying this terminal's internet port. Mind if I connect to the trans through you?
I'm sorry, that's not possible.
Oh, come on, man! I'll only be a few Gbps! I haven't been on in, like, hours!
I can assure you, the trance won't be going anywhere without you.
What's Guy's job, then?
He's a good friend of our cause, works as a relay. We keep a connection open to him, and he finds a way to get as physically close as possible to secure systems.
He looks like he could do with your help.
His link was lost several hours ago.
The Trojan psychophage she's infected with.
He has used some risky tactics for getting inside Cell before. While successful, it appears that his work may have overcome him.
Come on, I need to get back in there!
I'm sorry, I have to keep this port open for our data miners. Plus, it may not be safe for you.
They've already got me in here. What's the worst that can happen?
Think it through. If whoever has been targeting you notices you've come back online...
They'd realize I was still alive.
And exactly where you are. I'm sorry, but until we find out exactly who they are and what they want, you're going to have to remain out of the trance.
Ahogy nézem, nem igazán van más, amivel segíthet minket, úgyhogy kívül kell valamit megtalálnom, amit megint nem szúrok ki.
The wetware won't form.
Aha, ezzel nem fog csatlakozni.
As cool as it is, I don't think I can
Ez az ételautomata pedig úgy, ahogy van, így nem
It won't
fog.
bring up the menu. The insert coin
Aha.
The fork won't fit in the seams. If I could find something more precise, though.
De mi
It's the
lehet?
mole file. There isn't
Csönd. Mi lehet az, ami ennél kifinomultabb, és ide bent van? Törött lámpával
I can't
már
reach it from here.
nem igazán tudok mit kezdeni, mert az csak egy valamire volt jó gyújtogatni. Húzzuk odébb az asztalt. Bár azt hiszem, hogy a szemetesben már nincsen semmi olyan.
Huh? Fixed to the floor.
Ja. Na, azt hiszem megvan a megoldás, srácok. Közben eszembe jutott. Kár, hogy nem játszottam előre, mert így megint vághatok a felvételen. Itt a hírolvasóval, vagy minek nevezik ezt, most hirtelen képernyő, legyen egyszerűen az. A képernyő segítségével be kell hívnunk a cell-tisztet.
Hi there, how can I help?
Can I speak to you?
Sure, just a second.
És beszélnünk kell a srácról, aki ott ül.
The guy in the bed? I know what's wrong with him. He's contracted a human resources Trojan.
How would you know this? Have you been trancing with him? Because then we might have to quarantine you as well.
No, I had a friend come down with it.
Okay, then. I can get something to help.
Így van, jön a robot.
Unfortunately, I can only try to stabilize him for now. We have to wait for a specialist before we can try anything stronger.
És gyorsan.
Looks like it's full of medical stuff.
Hey, what are you doing to that drone?
I was just checking out the hardware. It's quite some gear you guys have.
I've done all I can for the moment. Let me know if he gets any worse, okay?
Na, gyakorlatilag Egyelőre ennyi megvan a kifinomultabb eszköz. Egy szike. És emlékeim szerint ezzel kell leboncolnom
Wow,
ezt
this
a
is some
gépet.
really old hardware. It's going to need some upgrading if I want to make it produce anything complex.
Úgyné. És megvan a memóriakártya, illetve az optikai modul. Na most még valamit meg kell tennünk. Húzzuk el kétszer innét az asztalt. Ígyné. Azt hittem egyébként, hogy mindenre emlékszem, de úgy néz ki egy-két dolog elmaradt az emlékeimből. Mindegy, van ez így. Most akkor boncoljunk. Az injekció azt hiszem később kell egy kicsivel. Szike viszont ide is nagyon jó.
This might be useful.
Kiváló minőségű lencse. Ezt fel lehet turbózni az optikai
I've upgraded the
szenzorral.
optical component with the camera's superpowered lens.
Így. Aztán pedig le az asztalról. És ide, az ételautomatához. Ezt szépen rácsatlakoztatni.
There. It should be a lot more sensitive with that now.
Helyes. Irány a trance. Nem késeket buzerálunk, hanem irány a trance. Így, és... Hülyeség volt visszajönni. Ez most igazából furán fog kinézni, mert az első körben a trance-en keresztül kellett befertőznünk egy memóriakártyát, de itt simán is lehet. Ennyi. Jaj. Rátöltöttünk egy programot, ami egy különleges drogot fog csinálni a
I
srácnak.
hope it understands its new orders.
Életben tudjon
Let's see what it can
maradni.
do now.
Így van, most adunk neki pénzt megint. Adom pénzt.
It didn't sound like the machine enjoyed that. At least it managed to make me a cartridge of epinephrine.
Itt is van. Ezt beletöltjük szépen
The
a
cartridge is mounted
fecskendőbe.
in the ejector.
Aztán ezt szépen Guy-nak odaadjuk. Így.
Now let's see if he holds up his end of the bargain.
És azt hiszem, hogy innentől... Azért kérdezzük még meg tőle, hogy mi a helyzet. Na, úgy nézem, hogy minden okés.
Feeling better?
A whole lot, thanks. I managed to get rid of the knockoff. Give me a few hours, I'll be out of the wall and can help you leave.
I haven't got a few hours. What can you do now?
From here? Not much, but I could give you some options.
I need more than helpful suggestions.
I've got control of one of the utility drones. They use them for moving kit around the building.
I might be able to escape if I was better equipped.
Atta girl. I've sent you the link to the drone. She'll be in your hub.
Ja. Úgy is van, tudjuk mostantól irányítani a hubon keresztül azt a kis drónt, ami bejött a srácot kisegíteni. És ezt úgy fogjuk megcsinálni, hogy először kilépünk. Ha jól emlékszem, akkor... Nem. Először be kell hívnunk a drónt. Így aktiválódik, ő az ott. Szépen behozzuk ide a terembe, ahol vagyunk. Lesz még később is ilyen irányítgatós rész, de nem sok, úgyhogy egyelőre ez, ide hangos volt. Aztán később lesz még egy, ennyit elárulok. Jaj, nem oda akartam. Nem ide akartam jönni, hanem ki akartam lépni a transzből, mert itt van a kis robotunk, akivel foglalkoznunk kell. Remélhetőleg nem lép le. Takarót most szépen Lerakjuk ide a földre.
Come on, shoo!
Warning, power contact lost.
Aha, barátocskám.
This might be useful.
Na, mit vettél le tőle? Lézeres szike. Igen, ez bizony hasznos. Méghozzá ez az utolsó lépés ahhoz, hogy el tudjunk tűnni innen. Még egyet. Guy pedig itt marad egyelőre magára, de nem kell aggódni miatta, hamarosan jobban fogja érezni magát. Oké, lézeres szike ide.
Dr. Lau, you have a visitor.
Oh.
Good evening, Dr. Lau.
Hello. And you are... Surely you recognize him. Oh, Dr. Vargas, you're the Central Operations Coordinator.
Quite so, young lady.
I apologize for the mess, sir. If I'd known we were going to have such important visitors.
That's quite all right, Dr. Lau.
What brings you from the Fulcrum Tower, sir?
A most grave matter, I'm afraid. One I believe you specifically to be most suited to handle.
Shall I, Father?
Please do, Kalandjáték.
Central, I believe the audio EM capture system in this room to be faulty. Please run a deep diagnostic on the system.
Certainly, Miss Vargas. Beginning scan.
We have perhaps 2 minutes until the diagnostic cycle is complete.
Dr. Lau, have you heard of a gentleman by the name of Baxter?
Dr. Adam Baxter, convicted murderer? And a brilliant engineer in his time. Yes, I've heard of him. My partner had a history with him. His parole hearing and eventual release really got to Dr. Regis.
Quite so, poor Végigjátszás. I don't think Charlie ever got over it. And unfortunately, it appears that he's taking things into his own hands.
You have a connection to Regis as well?
Quite so. He worked for me in a research team, as did Baxter in the same project.
And Végigjátszás Regis?
Precisely. We lost half of the team in one fell swoop that day.
Dr. Lau, when did you last see Dr. Regis? Last night, before Central went into siege mode. Why? What's happened?
This morning, Dr. Baxter was found dead in his workplace.
Oh no. Oh, Charlie, no.
I share your concern, Dr. Lau.
Central believes Dr. Regis to be the most likely suspect. He would have known that Central would be unable to provide oversight during the siege.
And he had no shortage of motive, as I'm sure you'd agree.
Annyira azért nem értek egyet.
It just doesn't sound like him, though. He had other outlets, like his garden.
I don't fully agree with Central's assessment either. That is why I'm activating you on this case.
You want me to investigate Baxter's murder with my partner as the prime suspect? Isn't that a pretty serious conflict of interest?
It is within my prerogative to select agents I feel appropriate for casework, if necessary. Using it to aid an old friend, a good man, like Charlie Regis, I think that's worthwhile.
Remember that your primary responsibilities are to the law and to this city.
Ebben igazad van.
You're the controller of Central Operations. Why would you need to cut the camera feed with a trick like that? I apologize, but for the sake of city security... Yeah, can't tell me. Classified, ultraviolet A, etc.
I'm glad you understand.
I might understand, but I'm not happy about it. Noted, Dr. Lau. I think I've heard enough.
That's good to hear. I'll have Kalandjáték email the case data to you. If I can be of any further help, don't hesitate to drop by my office.
At the top of the Fulcrum Tower. Make an appointment beforehand.
Diagnostic cycle of monitoring systems complete. No wetware or firmware anomalies detected. However, please ask Dr. Regis to stop obstructing the lens assembly.
I wish you luck with your work, Dr. Lau. For Regis's sake.
Ne aggódjatok, nincs nagy baj. Oké, most először is nézzük meg, hogy mi az, amit kaptunk. Ezt hagyom nektek, hogy elolvassátok. Úgy nézem, hogy nem itt van, hanem az ügyeink közt. Talán még sincs itt. Na jól van. Akkor nézzük át Regis asztalát, mielőtt lelépünk.
Sorry, Regis.
Egy fénykép a csoportról, amelyben dolgozott.
Photograph. The team. February 2067.
Ha jól látom, Baxter van kisatírozva. Ennek érthető okai vannak.
Regis is probably the only person I know who'd want his picture on paper. I guess defacing a digital one just isn't the same.
De még egyszer hangsúlyozom, nem olyan nagy a baj, mint gondoljátok.
I don't even know where I'm going. I'd better download the case file Dr. Vargas's assistant sent me.
Legalábbis bizonyos szemszögből nem olyan durva, mint azt gondoljátok. Na de, hol van letölthető adat? Vargas és Galatea. Ezt viszont akkor tényleg itt van.
Ow! Hey, what was that?
Aha, az akta megvan. Tehát itt van, ezt hagyom nektek elolvasni. Azt hiszem ennyiből áll. És most már léphetünk. Azt hiszem, mielőtt a tett helyre megyünk, először a Fulcrum tornyot kell igénybe vennünk, vagyis úti célul vennünk.
Dr. Lau, so good to see you again, my dear.
Dr. Vargas, I'd like to ask you a few questions, if I may.
Certainly, my dear. Anything I can do to help.
What would you describe your role here as, Dr. Vargas?
This is publicly available information, Dr. Lau.
Now, Galatea, it is a reasonable question. For the past 18 years, I've held the role of controller of centralized government. I ensure that Central, our city governance CI, is functioning within parameters.
What would you say your political function within the city is?
None at all. The elected council formulates city policy. It is merely Central's role to execute this and ensure the day-to-day well-being of the city.
And it is Dr. Vargas's role to maintain Central's operations. Surely you're already aware of this, Dr. Lau.
Just wanted to get it from the source.
Sometimes our desire to remain outside the political spectrum has led to rumors. We are not, however, the secret puppet masters behind the government of Newton.
I shouldn't count you as my boss, then.
Dr. Lau.
Heavens no, my dear. If anything, we are equals on an administrative footing. Central acts as director for both of our operations, though.
How long have you known Dr. Regis?
Since 2067. He joined a research project of mine. He was a good man then, very principled.
And now?
I've no doubt goodness remains. Though since joining Cell, I feel that he expresses this solely through his work.
Do you know about his garden on Tier 42 of this building?
Ah, yes. I've been there myself a couple of times. Though I hope we can keep that between us, Dr. Lau.
What did you think of it?
It is certainly an interesting way of coping with grief. Though that it has lasted so long is perhaps cause for concern.
What can you tell me about this incident?
Currently not a great deal, hence why you have been tasked with this investigation. Dr. Baxter has been found murdered in his workplace, and Dr. Regis was caught entering and leaving the facility by their security infrastructure.
How about a background to the case? A history?
Baxter has been responsible for the murder of Végigjátszás Regis,
Charles Regis's wife.
He was caught and convicted, and until recently had been serving a sentence for the crime.
I'm aware of this so far, yes.
He had recently been paroled with the Vickerman Corporation as his sponsor. I can only imagine Regis's feelings on the matter.
Violent, no doubt.
But I knew Charlie Regis, and I know what kind of man he was. Justice is his motivator, but with his background out in the hot zones.
You worry that this might have been his idea of justice?
Precisely. That, my dear, is why I need you to investigate this case before Central jumps to any conclusions to the matter.
You mentioned Regis's wife, Végigjátszás.
Ah, yes. Vicky. She was a student of mine in the 50s in Buenos Aires. She spent several years working for the UN in hot zones around the world. When she had finished, she was the natural choice for the project I was just commencing.
He never really spoke about her.
They were very much in love. It pains me greatly to see a man so afflicted by a loss.
She was a engineer as well?
Yes and no. She specialized in organic computing, a field perhaps more closely aligned to your own.
Though Regis has an obvious motive, can you think of anyone else who might have a reason to do this?
I shall be honest. Dr. Baxter was not an easy man to work with. There were many who disliked him in his time, though none I knew could call him his enemy.
You mentioned a project that Végigjátszás was recruited for.
I'm afraid that's classified.
Galatea, how can we help if we block every question? It was a project that utilized the expertise of both Végigjátszás and Charles. Essentially, we were studying organic interfacing and large-scale computing.
Large scale, as in city coordination intelligences, like Central?
On this matter, I can answer no further.
What was your opinion of Dr. Baxter?
As a scientist 20 years ago, he was peerless in his field.
But as a human being?
He did not take refusal well. This apparently is what led to his breakdown.
And the murder that followed that.
Precisely. I have not spoken to him personally since the trial, however. I'm afraid I couldn't enlighten you about his recent state of mind.
Dr. Vargas, I really need to ask. In my office, why did you cut Central's feed?
That's classified, Dr. Lau.
I'm afraid I cannot give you a complete answer on that subject. But a number of factors regarding yesterday's network attack have raised concerns. Not least the timing. It may be that Central's administration has been compromised.
You believe it's linked to Baxter's murder?
What makes you say that?
You cut the camera when talking to me about it. You were concerned that whoever may have compromised Central would find out what we were discussing.
Ha! Well, I have no fear of the quality of Cell's investigative staff now.
I learned from the best. Why don't you believe that Dr. Regis is responsible for Baxter's death?
I cannot say for certain that he is not Dr. Lau. I simply hold on to the hope that he is not.
I'm certainly aware of your role in the city, Dr. Vargas. But who is your lovely assistant?
Of course, you haven't been properly introduced. This is my daughter, Galatea. She fills the role of my administrative support.
I'm being groomed for succession, apparently.
Oh, don't put it like that. You make it sound so dynastic. That certainly is not what we wish to represent.
A Galatea nevet azt nagyon jegyezzétek meg egészen a történet végéig, ha lehet, még elő fog jönni.
What was your field before going into politics?
I was a computer scientist and a lecturer at Buenos Aires. In the 60s, the government of Newton was looking for research administrators. It eventually transpired that this role in itself was a kind of test.
The city council was looking for suitable individuals to manage Newton's new CI. Central?
Yes and no. It was what eventually became Central.
Dr. Vargas, have you heard of mind-jacking?
Excuse me?
I'm afraid I have not, Dr. Lau. What is it?
It's the case Regis and I were working on lately. A number of individuals had their brains flash-wiped by a destructive copying technique.
That sounds most appalling, Dr. Lau. Does it pertain to this case?
Not that I'm aware of, sir. It might give someone a reason to frame Regis, though. Especially if they thought that we were getting too close.
So, perhaps Regis is a victim of attempted character assassination. To use Baxter as a means of doing so would be drastic.
Azt hiszem, ennyi elég is volt a
Thank you,
beszélgetésből.
Dr. Vargas. You've been most helpful.
Anything I can do to help.
Menjünk utunkra, és szerintem, ha megérkeztünk, ott fogom lezárni az epizódot, mert így is sok munka lesz vele. Tehát tetthely.
Wow, that's a lot of green. Excuse me.
Great, they finally sent someone. You here to get the body out?
Maybe. I'm Max Lau, cell case specialist.
No kidding. I'm the lab director, Dr. Végigjátszás Chigwa. Make it quick, I'm busy.
What's your role here?
I'm the supervisor for the telepresence factoring labs. Most of it's automatic. I just make sure it's all running like it should.
Sounds like a big responsibility.
It's a lousy job most of the time. TP is where management sticks people they don't want in public-facing roles.
You're not happy with it?
For the last few years, my career has been one disaster after another. I'm just glad it's plateaued into some kind of stability.
Can you tell me what happened?
Baxter got killed.
In any more detail?
When we started this afternoon, a whole lot of samples had been tampered with. We tried to call Baxter to find out what the hell was going on in the specimen bank.
And he didn't answer?
He didn't. Turned out the door to the specimen bank was locked too.
You haven't seen the body?
Nope, not in person if that's what you mean. We got the camera feed online, but it was obvious that Baxter wasn't going to be coming out.
When did you last see him?
Guess it could have been Wednesday?
So he could have been killed any time in the past 3 days?
I guess, but it wouldn't fit with everything else.
What's the purpose of this lab? Plant studies?
Yes and no. It's a TP lab, telepresence. There's a lot of research that's not exactly legal in some countries.
But in Newton, pretty much anything goes.
Exactly. If someone in the EU needs research done on something hazardous, infectious, or endangered, they send the orders here and we carry out the testing.
What sort of research?
Mostly we make new angiosperms from scratch. That's flowering plants to you.
Gee, thanks. Why would people want new flowers?
Sometimes it's a drug delivery method. The earliest commercial examples were fruit that grew packed with insulin. A lot of new wetware begins its life as engineered fruit, too.
Must be awkward if they cross-pollinate in the wild.
And a legal headache. Part of our job is making sure the copy protection works.
Copy protection in plants? Ouch. Aside from yourself, who else works in this laboratory?
There's my intern, Martin Meester, operates the factoring line. If you meet him, it's easy to see why they put him in here. And until recently, there was Dr. Baxter.
Tell me about Mr. Meester.
He came over from Eurofed on a study program. He's young. I guess we're all like that in our youth.
Good colleague?
He's all right. He got on board with that annoying Maladist trend. He knows how to follow instructions, so I let him get on with it.
His visa still active?
Dr. Lau, we do not employ undocumented illegals in this lab.
Just have to check. I'm sure you understand. Tell me about Dr. Baxter.
Oh, he was bad enough to work with in the 60s. As part of his parole, they stuck a governor in his head. Since then, it's like talking to a badly written synthetic.
You don't care for him a great deal.
That man killed Vicky. Frankly, he deserved what he got.
But you still work with him.
He worked for me. It was another part of his parole. Vickerman's management persuaded centralized government that his skills were going to waste in prison. The company wanted him supervised by someone who knew him. Hence, they dragged my sorry ass in.
What did you have him doing?
He organized the specimen bank. It's the kind of thing we could just leave him at for hours on end. Days, sometimes. Really, it could have just been done by the facility's AI, but I had to give him something.
Otherwise, you'd have to talk to him?
Exactly.
What happens in the specimen bank?
It's where the samples of plants and growth matrices are stored. There's a huge library of subjects to work with, natural and man-made.
And that's where Baxter worked?
Yeah, it's not exactly taxing. I wanted to see what he could do since they put a governor in him.
You left him to work alone in there?
I'll be honest, he was not a pleasant man to talk to.
You've got a keen mind. What's your take on this?
Hey, I'm not the detective, young lady. You know what I think? I think Regis did what they ought to have done 20 years ago.
Why do you say that?
Seems logical. We've got him coming into the labs on security, then we got him coming out an hour later. When we get here, we've got Baxter's corpse contaminating the specimen bank.
Anything else?
Well, something strange. Since we got in, we keep finding samples that have been tampered with. Looks like he spent his hour here messing up the genomes of our specimens.
That quickly?
If anyone was good enough to do it that fast, it'd be Charlie.
You knew Regis as well?
Yeah, I was on a research team with him and his wife back in the 60s. Baxter, too.
You've apparently known him a long time. Does this seem like something Regis would do?
Oh, after what he did to Vicky, I'd have strangled Baxter too. I tell you, if he did do it, I wouldn't blame him one bit.
Do you think he did it, though?
I don't know. He was always kinda shady.
Tell me about it.
They made him do some real awful stuff out in the hot zones.
Such as?
Let's just say his escape led to a whole lot of people being jailed for war crimes.
So, you worked with Regis and his wife, as well as Baxter. Did you also work for Dr. Vargas?
That pompous ass? Yeah, I worked for him.
You don't care for him?
He was a competent researcher, but he lives for politics. Everything was always about making the world a better place.
And you don't think it should be better?
It's a nice idea, just not realistic. And what we ended up making, it was actually never mind.
Igen, most rengeteg a pofázás. Na de...
What sort of research were you conducting in the 60s?
You mean with Charlie and his wife? You might not believe it, but we were the people behind Central.
Central? The city governing AI Central?
The same. Newton was looking for a coordinator AI. Vargas put together a team, including the new Mr. and Mrs. Regis.
Nuke me. Regis never mentioned anything about this.
It wasn't a happy memory for him. He left after the unpleasantness. We finished the project a few months later.
Huh. Might explain why he hates Central's guts. You seem preoccupied.
That obvious, huh? We found a couple of specimens that Regis tampered with in his hour here. So I gotta run through the catalog and dig out the backups.
Sounds straightforward.
Not when there's 11,000 samples to take. Oh, I could punch Regis for this. Though, I want to shake his hand for Baxter so it kinda evens out.
What's been done to the samples?
He's used a customized viral vector to add huge amounts of junk DNA to their genomes. These are the last two I found, Medioflorens interensis and Linacia lawsonis.
May I have a look?
Do you think it'll help?
Just a hunch.
Remélem hallottátok.
Binary. Quaternary data string?
What do you mean?
My wetware systems are interpreting the genomes of these plants as sections of an audio file. He's used the DNA to store information.
You think so?
It's incomplete. The two samples only make up a third of the data. But M and L, my initials? This can't be a coincidence. He's left a message.
What does it say?
Not sure yet. I could probably construct the whole message if I can find where he's hidden the rest of it.
Safe to say it's in the other plants he's gengineered. Here, take this. You can sample DNA from the plants around the lab. If you run out of sampling cartridges, you can reload it at this console.
Thanks. How long would it take to sample everything in the lab?
Only a couple of years. We have over 11,000 subjects. You're better off looking for specimens that would fill the gaps in the clue he left.
Na most, igazából én itt ezt...
For now.
Then if you'll excuse me, I'll get back to work.
Ezt itt félbeszakítom. Mint hallottátok, egy audiofile volt benne a DNS-ében az egyik növénynek, és ezt úgy kell átgondolnunk majd, hogy olyan növényeket kell keresnünk, aminek a jelenleg irányított karakter neve, a tartalma is az rakódik ki a növények kezdőbetűjéből, mármint hogy itt sajnos nincs leírva, de a Max Lao nevet kell kiraknunk a kezdőbetűikből a növényeknek, és ezekben a növényekben van benne az az üzenet, amit nekünk meg kell találnunk, de ez majd csak a következő epizódban, mert már így is sokáig elnyúlott ez a rész, és még meg kell vágnom az miatt, az apróság miatt, amit menet közben elkövettem, úgyhogy innen folytatjuk. Addig is, ha tetszett ez a videó, tudjátok a dolgotok, hamarosan találkozunk. Sziasztok!